Scared for reals.
Hey, it's Chris O'Neill.
And Adam Perry.
Abigail has been released in theaters. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie yet, don't listen to this until after you've seen it. Now, this is supposedly a loose remake of Dracula's Daughter. You got 6 criminals, though, that capture this ballet dancer, this girl, as Swan Lake is playing.
Yes.
Swan Lake is elusively playing.
It's the first piece of music you hear in the whole movie. If that's not a little clue from 1931's Dracula, I don't know what is.
You got these 6 criminals. They capture Abigail, and they're led by an informant who's told not to disclose any personal information. So the beginning of this movie, because they're offered $50 million if they can keep her in this secluded, dreary, gothic-looking vampire house for 24 hours. Kind of sounds like House on Haunted Hill a little bit. There.
Yeah.
So I was like thinking this was going to be like a House on Haunted Hill. Well, not quite. Not quite. But basically, you have all these different personalities, and it's kind of interesting how, because they're referred to as the Rat Pack, and they all have the elusive Rat Pack names. Frank Sinatra, one of them's name's Frank.
Yep.
Joey, Dean, all this stuff.
Rickles.
Don Rickles, yeah. And I mean, you got all sorts of stuff. You come to find out that these people, they are criminals in some way or another, and slowly their backstories are revealed, which I guess you have to reveal everything about these characters, even though it really doesn't help the plot too much. I mean, the backstory for a couple of them helps, but the rest it really doesn't make a difference.
Well, I mean, you got to give them a reason, basically, to all be there,
I guess, but I mean, it goes through their backgrounds kind of throughout the movie, and they all want that $7 million check. They're each going to get $7 million if they can survive through the night. So they have to leave. They have to give Esposito there, Lambert, all of their cell phones and everything like that. So he leaves, and 24 hours, going to be pretty easy. So Joey, the main female here, who's played by Melissa Barrera, she is the one that is sent to watch over Abigail. They kind of bond a little bit, and even then it was like the bond seemed kind of forced because they didn't really delve into that until the end. So it's like a couple quick lines, and it's like they don't really know how to film montages anymore that are effective. They have a couple quick forced conversations, and then boom, you're going to have to remember this conversation later in the movie. It's like a wink, So that basically Melissa Barrera's character is kind of the one that's chosen by Lambert to communicate with Abigail. They're supposed to keep her blindfolded, but that doesn't last too long, and then of course shackles her a different way. But then all of a sudden, that you got this home security system that mysteriously shuts them all in, because it's revealed, who she is. Some daughter of a crime syndicate who's got this massive control, and we don't know how much of a control he has, but it's pretty big.
Yeah, and it's enough to scare all of our characters that are in the house,
especially the Frank character, who comes, we come to find out is actually used to be an undercover police detective.
Gone crooked. Yep.
Gone crooked, because he, even later in the movie, Abigail reveals that he is actually like a undercover.
Right.
And he went too far undercover, and it got and he really lost his way.
Right. He got a taste of the good life.
Right.
On the bad side. So
the seemingly good life.
Yes.
So the group, as soon as they find out who this is, because, Frank just kind of terrorizes the girl immediately. Abigail, holds a gun to her head, forcing all this information. Who's your father? And which is kind of, you got to get that information, but it just, like we were talking off air, it seemed like a lot of the stuff was forced. So you had to get the information somehow. So they okay, let's have Frank be the bad cop and go in there and threaten to kill her and everything.
But even right from the beginning of the movie with the kidnapping, they play him off as the paranoid heavy. So he's right from the gate, he's kind of got this unhinged, intense. Yeah. So like him pulling the gun on Abigail once they realize that they are all locked in and can't get out. I mean, it's intense. I mean, it's supposed to be, but I mean, it's it fits his character.
Kind of.
Yeah.
So basically, they all try to find out ways to kill Abigail because, come to find out, she's not just a little ballerina dancer. She's actually a vampire.
Yes.
So again, the spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie yet. So one by one they start dying, and actually Angus Cloud, the guy who plays Rickles, unfortunately. He was able to film all of his scenes, but he tragically lost his life.
Yeah,
due to a drug overdose. I mean, they basically made this movie last year. That's when he passed.
Right.
But because of the writer's strike, there was a lot of delays.
Yep.
And they had to reshoot scenes. But his character gets bumped off quite early. Bless you. But yeah, they start dropping off literally one by one. Some want to try to go behind Frank's back and just kind of sneak out of there. They can't, and they're kind of stuck there. So literally, but yeah, they start getting bumped off, and they have to try to find ways to kill Abigail. And Joey's the most calm, level-headed out of all of them. She's had a lot of demons in her past. She's an army medic. Come to find out, she has a son that she's kind of abandoned.
Right.
And, Frank has a family he's abandoned because of his dirty ways, but hers is a little more struggling with her own demons.
Mm-hmm. Struggling with addiction.
Yeah. But, whereas Frank absorbed the demons,
right,
and embraced it, she's struggled with it, and she's tried to, she has candy to kind of curb her cravings. And
yep.
And she's the most level-headed of the bunch. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't want to kill her right away. She has a plan that she kind of keeps to herself. But Frank, being Frank, he's let's just go gung ho into this, and doesn't really plan it out that well,
right?
Because he's panicking. They all panic, and they all get a stake through the knee and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all the fun.
Yeah, they can't beat Abigail because she's she's a vampire, and she literally set all of this up so she could kill all of them.
Yeah.
Because they all have wronged her dad. She literally, when they have her in this elevator cage, she reveals that all of the people that she picked, all of these criminals, did something to thwart her father's business.
Right.
So, and then later on, there's a big pile of bodies. Like this has happened many, many times before.
Well, yeah. I mean, she needs the feed. Yeah. So, I mean,
she likes to play with her food too.
Yeah, she does.
So, yeah, it leads into all sorts of plot twists as soon as, like, Abigail. Abigail's the vampire just from the previews. And, okay, how is this going to be settled? And, of course, there's a plot twist that Lambert is actually a vampire himself. Abigail made him a vampire a couple years prior. And so he wants to make Frank a vampire, and they can kill Abigail, and then they can kill her dad and take over the whole business. Mm-hmm. But Frank he's just obsessed with being in control of everything himself.
Right.
And he didn't like that Lambert played him, so he kills Lambert. A lot of carcass explosions in this movie.
Yes.
Decapitations, explosions, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, well, after we get through the synopsis, I'll tell you what I think about the effects and stuff like that. But
yeah, so basically, Frank turns into a vampire because Lambert, does what he needs to do. So Frank thinks he has all this power, so he literally attacks Abigail. He's successful in draining some of her blood, but the title is Abigail. It's not Frank,
right?
So,
yeah,
Abigail. He didn't drain all of her blood. According to Abigail, you got to drain all of the blood, and he didn't do that. So basically, that conversation with Joey, Abigail and Joey near the beginning of the movie, the little pinky swear, they kind of team up, so to speak, to try to beat Frank, and they're successful. His blood splatters everywhere too. But Abigail lets Joey live so she can go back to her son, try to make things right. Again, she's the only one in the movie that really didn't do anything that wrong. Because she was on drugs, one of Abigail's father's associates died, but she didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
So she's the only one that kind of gets a free pass because, yes, it was her fault that she was on drugs and, abandoned her son and everything like that. But she didn't do all of the bad of things. Sins are sins, but she didn't really, compared to these other really low lives.
There was no malicious intent with her, what she did compared to the other people in the trapped in the house.
Yeah, the other one was like a hired hitman, a big thug that just literally Abigail refers to snapping bodies in half and all that kind of stuff. He's a big dude. Yeah. And he's always playing those kind of parts in movies. I forget that guy's name, but so basically, Frank is destroyed and Abigail's father returns, played by Matthew Goode, who's a good character actor in a lot of movies. Yep. And he's not Dracula, but he could be Dracula because he's referred to by many, many names. Yes.
And that's kind of the little twist here. Like, she calls him father. The Lambert and everybody else refers to him under some
Christoph Laza.
Yes,
Christoph Laza.
But when you see him, he's clearly. I don't know, Chris. I don't know what you think. When I saw him when the door opened and I saw the widow's peak, the pale face, I noticed that his fangs were longer. His canine fangs were longer than all the other. I was like, all right, this is clearly Dracula. And then when she acknowledges him by name, and he doesn't acknowledge the name. He just says, "I've been known by many names." Yes, I was like, "All right, to me, that as a fan of this type of horror, I geeked out. I was like, it's Dracula."
Most people did think it was Dracula.
And you know what? If that's the Dracula we're going with, I can get behind him. I thought he was terrifying. When he went after Julie, or what the character's name.
Joey.
When he went after, I thought he was aggressive. He was he was scary until Abigail called him off.
Because they had that pinky promise.
Yeah, and then he had that. Then he showed that little Dracula charm at the end by kissing her hand.
Drinking some of the blood off.
Yes, yeah. So,
well, and he also warned her it's almost dinner time. So he was kind of like, you better leave now, otherwise.
Yeah, you're getting a free pass.
Yes. Yeah. So she definitely took advantage of it. So she finds a lollipop, and because it seems like Frank bit her, but since he was destroyed, according to Abigail, all of that is gone, which is kind of weird.
Well, I mean, that's vampire lore, isn't it? If the vampire that bites you is
some vampire lore, though.
Well, let's talk about that, because this movie does play with the lore a little bit. Obviously, the stakes work. Obviously, sunlights work. But we also find out garlic doesn't work.
No.
Neither does crucifixes.
No,
because she uses a crucifix.
Stabs the guy with his own crucifix.
Yes. So they do play a little bit with the vampire lore here, which I don't mind. Mm-hmm. I thought it gave a unique twist. It's like, okay, well, how the hell are you supposed to stop these things?
Right.
If if the traditional doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was cool. I thought that was really cool. So like traditionally, you have to kill the head vampire to release all the people under him who are vampires. But apparently it's just the one who bit you. You have to take out in this
according to this lore.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't seem to work that way,
right?
In other Dracula movies or anything like that. So,
well, I mean, again, Lambert bites Frank. Frank kills Lambert, so that kind of makes him the top dog in that vampire chain.
And he also has some of Abigail's blood in there too.
Yeah, he bites Joe. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I'll let you go first because you really like this movie. So, tell me why you like this movie so much.
All right, so I like this movie because right from the beginning, I really felt the classic Gothic horror that they were trying to capture here. All the way from the lighting of the movie. It's a very dark shot, very dimly lit. They get to this this mansion, like you said, right out of House on Haunted Hill. I mean, it just had that vibe, and the effects. I didn't see too much CGI. I saw a lot of practical effects. I saw a lot of dummy work with the bodies. I saw, I was just happy with it. And unlike Universal's previous MOs, and I hate to get political here, most of their movies have forced some sort of social political commentary, and this one didn't. This one just let the movie be what it was. Yeah, you had some. They had to give you some backstory, and some of it could be toxic masculinity with some of the characters, but you have to do that in every movie to, make the audience decide if they're going to care or not care for these people that they're investing their time in and watching. So, the fact that we just got a 109-minute Gothic horror movie that they took the monster itself was taken seriously. It wasn't a caricature of a vampire for laughs, or just to be silly. The girl who played Abigail was absolutely fantastic. She stole the show, in my opinion. She was terrifying. It was just good, man. And again, with the Dracula references, and at the end, if this is where Universal's going, sign me up. I'll keep watching these until they stop making them this well.
I obviously didn't love it as much as you did. There were some good moments here and there. Again, the vibe with the house and everything was kind of cool. And Dan Stevens was really cool. I mean, he seemed like he was having fun with it,
right?
And that for a movie like this, it's okay to take it somewhat seriously, but
right,
some of the actors took it, I thought, way too seriously, and they tried to force humor.
Yeah,
you even pointed that out at one point.
That's one of the things I really they try attempts at humor and it just doesn't pull it off.
Right, but I did like. Again, I like Dan Stevens a lot. He's definitely come out of his Downton Abbey stuff, and he's done all sorts of interesting roles. I haven't seen it yet, but I heard The Guest.
Yeah,
he got a lot of acclaim for that. And I mean, gosh, Kong X versus Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. He was having fun with that. It's a completely different role.
Yeah,
I mean, literally 2 weeks apart, you see Dan Stevens on the big screen playing two completely different characters, and he had fun doing both. You could tell he was having fun. And yes, I totally agree with you about Abigail. Alicia Weir, young actress from Irish actress, she was having a lot of fun playing this, and she did a lot of her own stunts.
And
too.
She owned it. She owned it, man.
She was a lot of fun to watch. Dan Stevens. The rest of the cast, I mean, when you have like a quote-unquote hero, Melissa Barrera, she did okay. I mean, It just seemed like she took it way too seriously, though, and a lot of them did. Catherine Newton wasn't too bad. She was just in Lisa Frankenstein earlier this year.
Right.
But it just seems like when you have a movie of this nature, it's okay to have fun with it. Look at The Matrix. That was another movie I had a hard time with. The first Matrix I really liked, but the only one you could tell that was having fun was Hugo Weaving.
Right.
All the rest of them, we've got to take this really serious, you know?
I mean, I don't know. I think, you just mentioned Catherine Newton, especially when she becomes a vampire in the movie under Abigail's control. Yeah. You could tell that she really got into
she was, as I said, she wasn't too bad. But, I mean, Dan Stevens and Alicia Weir stand out in the movie.
Sure,
more
definitely.
Catherine Newton would probably be third tier for me, but I don't know. The movie should have been more fun, because it's not a crime drama. It's not like a serious crime drama. It is a vampire movie, which vampires are not real. They're fantasy. There's horror, yes. You got to have some horror. Got to have a little blood. Well, this movie has a lot of blood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it just, I wish the movie had more fun and it didn't take itself too seriously.
I didn't think it took itself that seriously.
Well, but you pointed out that some of the humor was forced. It's like, okay, they were trying to have fun with it.
Yeah, but I think that was just from bad writing and bad delivery. That's necessary. I mean, like,
when you force humor, or if you're not having fun with it as much as, Dan Stevens had fun. Alicia Weir had fun. Catherine Newton had a somewhat good time, but it's just, I don't want a comedy, but at the same time, when you're going to write jokes in there, you got to have, look at George Romero. Maybe they were trying to go with a George Romero tongue-in-cheek.
Right.
It didn't work. It just didn't work like that.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I don't think the movie took, it's a gothic horror movie. So how seriously can it be taken?
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. Have fun. And it didn't seem like all of them were having fun.
Oh, right.
But that's just me. Yeah. And it could have been 20 minutes shorter,
Right.
It just got to make it close to 2 hours now. It seems like a magic running time. However, just earlier this month, Immaculate came out, and that was less than 90 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It's okay. I gave it 3 stars. It's okay. Right. There's a lot of interesting stuff in there. It's not Dracula's Daughter, because you and I have seen that movie, and when they say it's a loose remake of Dracula's Daughter, it is nothing to do with that movie. No,
I wouldn't say it has anything to do with the 1933 Dracula's
But that's how
Daughter.
they're selling it, though. And it's not.
I didn't see anything in other than just reading it right now on Wikipedia. This is the first reference I've ever saw it made to Dracula's Daughter.
Okay, I've seen a few, not teasers, but different people talking about it on the internet, calling it, this is a sequel. It's a remake of Dracula's Daughter. And luckily, people in the comments are like, no, this has nothing to do with that Dracula's Daughter.
Well, yeah. Listen, there's just clearly a story about Dracula's Daughter. It's not a remake of that movie.
No, they should. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Yeah. There were some advertisements that mentioned that. They should just expunge those.
I didn't see any.
I saw some. I think they probably threw some of them out there, and then they're like, "Whoops!" This
well, again, because clearly the at the end, you're supposed to kind of get that her father's Dracula.
Yeah. You kind of come up with your own conclusion.
It's implied.
It's ambiguous to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Could he be Dracula? Most likely, yes, but it's not 100% certain that he is.
Right.
And I think that a lot of that has to do with, is this movie going to be successful? They're not sure, so they're kind of leaving it open-ended, but at the same time, if nothing else happens, there is a conclusion.
Right.
So,
well, it doesn't surprise me that they would throw the ambiguous Dracula. They've been trying to reboot their monsters for years and failing to do so. But again, if they are going to start making movies like this, I can get on board with it. Again, it's gothic horror. They're just telling a story. There's a straightforward story with no side plots, no side agendas. It was just it was a vampire movie.
Well, there was an agenda, but it wasn't as overbearing as it has been in other movies recently. I will, I talked about The First Omen a little bit, where abortions, women's body parts being under control of men, and all these decisions they're forced. Immaculate was definitely like that too. The agenda wasn't as overbearing in this movie. It was just kind of understated a little bit.
What agenda?
The whole toxic male masculinity,
or they were just criminals.
Well, there were criminals, yes, but there's been Hollywood really doesn't like to have strong males anymore in their movies. It's just it's one again. It's not beating you over the head. I'm not saying that's the whole agenda here, but there is some underlying agenda with that. Even, James Cameron has mentioned it over and over again. Toxic male masculinity, with Avatar and everything like that. Because, that supposedly have a strong male lead in there, and unfortunately, he kind of makes the men weaker. In this movie, the men were definitely weak compared to
until Dracula showed up at the end.
Yeah, but even Dracula is subdued in a way. So I'm just saying that it's in there, but it's not as over the top as it has been lately in horror movies.
I guess we'll agree to disagree on that. I didn't.
I'm not saying it's beating you over the head.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's
boiling
under the surface.
I just looked at it for what it was. You had a group of criminals sitting, trapped in a house, now being killed by a vampire. Mm-hmm. You had to give them a little bit of backstory to pick which ones you wanted to care about. Mm-hmm. Obviously the mother looking for her child is going to be your sympathetic character. Mm-hmm.
Trying to get her.
Yeah. So Abigail, I give it a 3.5. This is something I'd rewatch again. And recommend to anybody. The whole lot of practical effects in it, very little CGI, which is always a bonus with me.
Yeah, and you bring up the CGI, the practical effects. The directors, I should probably acknowledge them: Matt Bettolini, Olpen, and Tyler Gillette. They actually made the past couple of Scream movies, Scream 5 and 6, and believe it or not, Melissa Barrera was in both of those as well.
Yep.
She won't be in Scream 7, though.
Nope.
But they mentioned the effects. They had an interview, and the directors felt they needed to apologize to the cast because of the volume of blood they used on the set. Yeah, they said all of our movies are bloody. I mean, you look at the past couple Screams, there is blood, but this is the most bloody they've ever done. And they spent a lot of time apologizing to the actors. Catherine Newton confirmed that the film did get quite messy. She said, I would say Abigail's the scariest movie I've done, the most gory I've done. So there you go.
But this is horror movie making done right. I mean, you're making a vampire movie.
Right.
A vampire equals blood.
Right.
You want to see everybody soaked in blood by the end of this thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, why apologize? They knew what they were signing up for.
Oh, I know. That's just, I think they were doing it for fun, but yeah. It's a lot of blood in this movie. So
especially by the end.
Yeah, if you're squeamish of blood, well, you may want to walk out for the last 20 minutes of the movie because it literally becomes a blood bath. They're soaked in blood.
Yeah.
And actually, Catherine Newton's kind of swimming in blood.
Right.
So,
yeah.
As she's slowly turning into a vampire herself. But, I also want to talk about the teeth a little bit, too, because I know one of the directors commented the teeth, and they wanted them to look more primal. Her teeth, as you notice, it didn't look like a typical vampire.
Right.
Because, I mean, you look at all of them, since the Hammer days, they've all had the two
canine
fangs.
Yep.
The two fangs.
Yep.
And this one, they definitely made Abigail look more primal, and they didn't look like your typical vampire fangs. Even when Frank turned, Lambert and even Dracula at the end, their fangs didn't look like the typical vampire ones that we're used to from the Hammer days, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, definitely you had a mouthful of sharp teeth rather than like you were saying, the two enlarged canine, teeth. But again, to point out, which is why, it leads you to speculate that Dracula is Dracula. If you look, his teeth were different from everybody else's.
Yeah.
His canines, his fangs, the two prominent ones were longer than everybody else's. Mm-hmm. All the other vampires in the movie. Mm-hmm. So again, another little kind of like nod, like this is where we're going.
This is the head vampire here.
Yeah, this is the guy.
Yeah. So the crime syndicate. I love how they say crime syndicate, and he's more than that.
But all right, so and my brother, as I was texting him after this movie, again, and I feel horrible for saying this, I have yet to see it. Last Voyage of the Demeter. Oh. Do you think that there could be any connection?
No. No. The Last Voyage of the Demeter was a boring movie.
Okay.
And there's nothing. Matthew Good wasn't in it, so there's.
I'm just.
If you're trying to make him connect, or is that
what he was asking me was, do you think that there's any possibility that Dracula that got off the boat and disappeared could be this Dracula 100 some odd years later?
I guess.
Is there, could there be, both done by Universal.
Yeah.
Is this maybe a universe they're trying to create, or are they just two separate movies?
From what I gathered, they're two separate movies, because you've had them revive a lot of their characters. You saw Renfield. That was another Universal movie.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with any other Dracula.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Last Voyage of the Demeter, which was a very to say that movie was underwhelming is an understatement. That's just my opinion. I wanted to like it because, like you, I do like Dracula movies. Anytime I saw, the Last Voyage of the Demeter, this is a Dracula movie.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't a Dracula movie.
Right.
They kind of,
again, I haven't
they kind of allude.
I'm
going to spoil it a little bit for you. They kind of open it up for a sequel that could potentially follow one of the characters, but it's like this movie kind of ignored all that, it seemed.
Right.
I guess they could tie it in together, but a lot of people did not like that movie, The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
No, fair enough. It was just something, my brother asked, and
I didn't see it. I didn't take anything out of it like that. I guess you could. In theory, you could, because it's, Dracula, centuries and centuries and centuries, but I don't think so.
Okay. Fair enough. I was just, like I said, I haven't seen Last Voyage of the Demeter yet, so I know you had, and
have a lot of caffeine before you watch it. I know. I thought it was very boring. Yeah. I didn't get into the last. I wanted to like it.
Right.
But it just was very sluggish to me.
But
having a Dracula movie being sluggish, that's... Right.
So, again, thinking about it, what does this say about the longevity of Dracula? Because essentially in 2 years, Universal has now released 3 movies.
Right.
Again, as we talked about Abigail, apparently there was some promotion that kind of implies Dracula's daughter.
Well, it was the working title for the movie. It really was the working title.
All right. Well, a working title can be called anything.
Well, yeah, and it was on some of their ads too.
Yeah,
at the beginning, and I think what happened is people kept sharing them. Oh, this is not Dracula's daughter. And I saw a few of them, and I kind of like, well, this has no vibe of Dracula's daughter, because Gloria Holden. Gloria Holden was a woman.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, again,
no,
if you were to say anything even remotely compared to Dracula's daughter, all you can say is Abigail is Dracula's daughter.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the 1933 movie.
No.
Regardless, and again, even so, Dracula is implied in this movie.
Yeah.
So 2 years by Universal, 3 movies with Dracula in it.
Right.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I know Renfield was garbage. I know not a lot of people were happy with Last Voyage of the Demeter. I haven't seen it yet.
I
really enjoyed this one.
I thought Nicolas Cage was great as Dracula. I thought
he was good. Yeah.
The whole Renfield making him into a Matrix like character with all the kung fu moves, and that was a little difficult for me to wrap my head around. But we're not talking about Renfield right now. So. But yeah, Abigail. Again, I didn't hate it. I wanted to like it more. I wanted it to be more fun. Mm-hmm. It's okay to have fun making these movies, and a few of the cast members had fun. Mm-hmm. I just wish it was more fun. And like you said, the jokes. If you're gonna force jokes, probably shouldn't have them.
Right?
They could have just taken all the jokes out and made a gory, serious vampire movie. That would have been okay.
Yeah.
I just think that, again, it seems like there's too many ideas like scrunched into a movie, and it's like they have to solve, they have to answer most of the questions. It's like, man, where's Kubrick when you need him? Kubrick made so many amazing movies. I mean, look at the greatest horror movies of all time is The Shining, and he didn't answer any questions in that movie. And It was absolutely brilliant, and it's still terrifying. Mm-hmm. But Abigail, not a bad movie, not a bad way to kill a couple hours. I don't think it will stand the test of time like these other vampire movies, but it's good. It's not too bad way to kill a couple hours. So I give it 3 stars, and
again I give it 3.5 as well. And I hope if this is popular enough, I hope Universal continues to trend in this direction with their horror movies, because to me it really hit that old school gothic horror vibe, which I love so much about those classic horror movies that they did in the 30s. So good for them. You did something good for once.
I know you've really had a hard time with
I've had a very hard time with a lot of stuff they've done lately, and again, not to go down this rabbit hole, but quickly, like the Invisible Man. You don't, because it's not and here's my problem with it. My problem is, it probably would have been a really good movie, or I would have enjoyed it more if they didn't call it The Invisible Man, and they didn't say it was a remake of The Invisible Man. Because the thing is, with The Invisible Man, you had a movie to go off of and a novel to go off of, and you didn't use any of it. The Invisible Man's name wasn't even Griffin.
Yeah.
I mean, that movie had absolutely nothing to do with H.G. Wells's or James Whale's movie, The Invisible Man, at all.
Right.
It had an invisible person in it, I'll give you that, but it had nothing to do with the H.G. Wells book or the James Whale inspired movie that it was supposed to be remaking. And that's what drives me nuts most about that movie.
You would have been even more nuts if I read some of this stuff that this particular project, Abigail, was supposed to have originally been titled, as I said, I keep saying Dracula's Daughter, but they considered a singular continuity with The Mummy from 2017. They were at one point at the beginning stages. Luckily, they didn't.
Right.
Because Tom Cruise, it wasn't his fault the movie sucked. It was just you could have put Daniel Day-Lewis in that Mummy movie and it would have still sucked.
Well, the problem with the Mummy movie is they tried to make a Universal monster, a Marvel universe out of their, Marvel superhero movie out of their classic monsters, which they didn't need to do.
The problem was it was terrible from the start. Okay. And the script was really bad.
Okay.
But they had I'm just telling you, originally this is what they were going to do with Abigail in the beginning stages. They were going to have it kind of have a continuity with that Mummy movie.
Right.
And each release was supposed to be, horror genre, no restrictions on budget, rating. They're not part of I don't know. I'm glad they abandoned that idea because that Mummy movie was terrible.
Yeah, they had a whole dark universe set up, and they've abandoned it. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, I know they started it with Van Helsing back in 2004, and it just fell apart after that movie bombed.
Yeah, but even that wasn't even supposed to be connected to what the Tom Cruise movie.
No, but in 2004 they were going to start doing that, and that was going to be the start of that, and then they started it again with The Mummy, and then they started. Just make a movie that's fun and entertaining. It doesn't have to connect. Yeah. You don't have to make a universe. You can just make movies.
Sure.
You know? Good ones, hopefully.
Like Abigail. Doesn't have to connect to anything. It's a good horror movie.
Yeah, we'll see if we'll see how successful it is.
Yeah.
I don't foresee it being a huge disaster, being the movie only cost $28 million to make, which is pretty small.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So it's probably going to at least do that for its opening weekend.
Yeah. Is this going to break records? No. Is this going to be popular enough with the horror community and
it will make some money?
Audience?
I think it will make some money back.
Yeah. It's going to be big within the horror community, and it's going to be a fun movie for the general audience. It's not going to break records, so I see a sequel in the future easily.
Oh yeah, We'll see if they go down the Dracula rabbit hole again. We'll see. But time will tell.
Alrighty.
Abigail, it's out in theaters right now. I highly recommend you watch it on the big screen with an audience. It's more fun when you're actually with a large group of people watching this movie, hearing their reactions. It's just watching it at home is the easiest way to watch a movie in some cases, but it's more fun when you're watching it with a crowd.
Listen, there's no better date movie than a horror movie.
Unless your date doesn't like gory movies.
Bring her anyway.
Yeah. No way my wife is ever going to these kind of movies. But anyway, it's worth watching once at least. Abigail, it's in theaters everywhere. And again, let us know what you think. If you want to comment and bash my opinions or, bash Adam, whatever, just reach out. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter X, Facebook, and just let us know what you think about Abigail, or if you'd like to suggest any other stuff for us to talk about.
We'll see you next time on Scared for Reals.